Hello humans, I'm Yoshiller, and welcome back to some more Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. In the previous parts, I began collecting the game's monster medals, which you get for defeating every type of a specific monster in the game. There are 6 sets of monster medals in total, and in the previous parts, I collected 3 of them. Namely, I collected the 3 that were based on the sets of monsters that existed in the previous game, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Some Moldugas, Stone Taluses, and Hinoxes. I defeated all of them. And now, in this part, I'm going to go ahead and defeat the remaining 3 sets of monsters in this video. Now, this will be another montage-style video, which means the majority of my gameplay will be sped up and will have music to it. And I know that that's not everyone's cup of tea. And if it is your cup of tea, then I hope you enjoy the music that I select for this video. But if it's not your cup of tea, rest assured, this might just be the last montage-style video that I have to do. There might be one more small sped up bit in a future video, but otherwise, this is like the last major hurdle of this nature that I have to do in this game, which is exciting, but it is still a major hurdle. So in this video, I'm taking on the 3 monsters or sets of monsters that were introduced here in Tears of the Kingdom. Those are going to be the Flux Constructs, which exist in the sky and in the depths. So I'm going to be working my way from top to bottom. Those are going to be the Gleeoks, which are going to be the big 3-headed dragons that were also added to this game but didn't exist in Breath of the Wild, and those are going to be the Froxes, which are exclusive to the depths. So I figured the best way to organize things is to work my way from top to bottom. So I'm going to start by taking on every type of enemy that's in the sky, then every type of enemy that might exist on the surface, which is just going to be the Gleeoks, and then I'll take on enemies in the depths. For the sake of this montage, it's going to be segmented by enemy type. So it's going to be Flux Constructs first, then Gleeoks, then Froxes at the end. Froxes are at the end because they are exclusively in the depths, and I'm working my way from top to bottom. So, I'm going to go ahead and show myself defeating all these enemies, and then I will come back with commentary in just a moment. See you guys all in about 30 to 40 minutes. Okay, that's finally over! I wouldn't necessarily say that any of that was particularly difficult. Well, okay, maybe some of the Gleeoks, but I gradually became better equipped to deal with all of the enemies and defeat them in an efficient enough manner, so it became a lot easier the more I played. But the other issue was that I exhausted so many of my weapons that I had to repeatedly go back and fight Hinoxes just so that I could hoard their weapons. But hey, I got a bunch of Gleeok wings and crystallized charges and Zonite! I basically traded in my weapons for Zonite. But those Flux Construct cores that you can fuse to your weapons after you defeat them are plenty powerful. I just need more weapons, that's the big thing. But that's also a concern for a different time. For the time being, now that I've defeated all those enemies, let's reap in all the rewards. So let's talk about the Sky Giant. That's gonna be all the Flux Constructs that I have successfully eliminated. Boom, thank you. I still have this concern that I missed like 1 or 2 and that he's gonna be like, you missed 1, and then I gotta go back all the way through all the maps and find them. Or I guess Flux Constructs are only in the sky and the depths, they're not on the mainland. But still, I'd have to go back and reevaluate which one I might have missed. So that's the medal for the Flux Constructs. Awesome. Okay, now we just need to double check the ones for the Gleeoks and the Froxes. And the Gleeoks should definitely be all the way down to 0. Because those you can categorize into like there's 3 fire ones, 3 ice ones, 3 electric ones, and then all the kings. Yeah, easy peasy. And I got that King Gleeok in the depths a long time ago. Boom! Thank you for this Gleeok Monster Medal. Those guys definitely exhausted my resources the most. All right. The hunting token made especially ones who have defeated the Gleeoks. We're working every day to accomplish it ourselves. Thank you. Thank you. Everyone knows about your great deeds, Link, but it feels good to give you something tangible as proof for them. Yes, I agree with that. And because you have a tangible piece of proof, that's why I have to fulfill these tasks in the first place. This isn't a matter of me just defeating enemies to reap in the parts. I'm doing this to receive a specific reward that I can only get for defeating all the enemies. Boom! Frox Monster Medal. That's all of them. That's every set of major enemies in the game. Everyone knows about your great deeds, Link. Yep, something tangible. We have Monster Control Crew will continue to our mission. Impossible! You're saying that each and every large and unusual beast has been torn asunder? That's right. Just when I thought you couldn't outdo yourself, you've gone and done it. There's nothing more I can give you. But let it be known that I will forever remember this incredible feat you have accomplished, Link. Aw, so you don't get anything for having done them all, huh? Well, you still get all of the individual medals for each set of monsters, so you still have to do them all if you really want to count yourself as a 100% completionist for this game. So there we go. We got the Froxes, the Moldugas. Those are the 3 from the previous part. And then these ones on the bottom that are offset from the originals are the ones from this part. So the Flux Constructs I have defeated. Great. Then we also have the Gleeoks and the Froxes. So that's all 6. That's all 6. There is not one big reward for having defeated them all. Just 6 smaller rewards that you can't pin to yourself for anything. It's purely bragging rights. But this is a 100% walkthrough. I've been playing this game for 2 years. Figured I ought to do it. And I got powerful monster parts that I will presumably need to upgrade armor in the future. So in a way, it's something that I had to do eventually anyway. And speaking of upgrading armor, that might just be the focus of the next part, or the part after that, we'll see. For now, that wraps up this part of Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and I'd like to thank you all for watching. I hope to see you all in future videos. Bye-bye, humans! Whoosh! And so, we've reached the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, please click on the like button or leave a comment. Either of those actions would really help me out. If you wish to see more of my gameplay content, please click the subscribe button so that you can be notified each time I post a new video. And if you click on the bell icon, you can customize how often you receive notifications. Thank you so much for watching my video all the way to the end, and I hope to see you around in the future. Bye-bye, humans! Whoosh!